My name is Totoro, and with me today is...
Dark Fox 8.
Mr. X.
Raansu.
Raansu sounds a little sleepy. Or distracted. One or the other.
And also somebody's missing.
A little distracted.
Yeah.
Are you playing DOA right now, Raansu?
Possibly.
I think you're playing while podcasting.
And yet he's still probably kicking the shit out of everyone.
Well, I'd say 90% of the people online are terrible.
Like that would be me.
Like Dakazu bad. And when I say that, I mean how bad Dakazu was at Virtual Fighter.
Well, I can tell you right now, the lag is so bad that the sound is actually off.
The sound is off? Wow. That is really bad lag.
Is the netcode just bad, or...?
Yeah, I guess we should say we're going to be talking about DOA 5 on this podcast starting now.
A little bit.
Yeah, the netcode, it's similar to past games, only maybe a little worse. It depends on who you're connecting to and their connection and everything.
Right.
Also, I think there's some router conflicts. So I know Raansu cannot join anyone on his friends list from his friends list, but he can join from like searching for a lobby or just invite people and then they can join him.
I wonder if that's some sort of UPnP issue, like it runs on a different, lesser well-known port.
Raansu, did you ever figure that out?
No, I can't get access to my routers, so I don't know.
Right. It just always resets whenever you do anything to it.
Sounds like a crap router. So yeah, obviously Dakazu is not with us today.
That is true.
He had like some emergency in the evil volcano lair.
The dolphins were hungry.
So he had to go down and feed the dolphins.
It was the dolphin feeder called in sick, so they made him do it. And he's like, that's not my job. And they're like, tough. The internet has to run. Okay, so Raansu, you played in a big DOA 5 tournament this weekend. How did that go?
It went well until the finals.
Yeah, you took second. That's really good.
Yeah, that's like a lot better than I would ever do at anything, so that's like really cool.
Yeah, we were watching live, and we were all confused because at least the commentators weren't very good. So we honestly didn't know if this was like to play second or first, or if it was to play something else. But then we found out like, oh wow, he was going for like the number one spot. That's really impressive.
Yeah, I heard that the commentators were. I wasn't able to watch the stream because I didn't get the message about it until after it was over. But I hear the commentators were like Tekken fans, and they were just trashing DOA the whole time.
Well, and the one thing was I didn't even realize that there were commentators until we were sitting there watching this, and like all of a sudden people start talking 2 or 3 minutes into it, and I was like, oh, okay, well they were saying like jack shit for I don't know how long, but
yeah, I don't know if Raansu could hear the commentary from where he was sitting, but in general they just seemed unprofessional. I don't know whether or not they were trashing the game, but I recall one of them saying something like So basically, it was the last match, and if Raansu's opponent won, he would win, right? And then that would be the end of the tournament. So he said, "Oh, I hope he wins, so we could get to go home." It's like that's kind of fucked up. He shouldn't be choosing sides.
Yeah.
Well, CEO was primarily a Tekken Street Fighter tournament. They had Persona 4 fighting game there and some other stuff, but only a few of us there really knew DOA, and none of the commentators know DOA, so I kind of expected it. The big DOA event was at Seasons Meetings, where they had actual Dead or Alive commentating, so it's unfortunate, but I expected it.
So did any big people in the community show up for DOA?
At CEO? No, it was just me and John and Not Subway that were like the big three.
Oh, so okay. Because I know Dr. Dog and Swoozy have done commentary in the past. I was wondering why they wouldn't have just sat in to do it, but if they weren't there, then that would be why.
Yeah, I told Swoozy about it, but I don't know if he was at Season Meetings or not, but he definitely was in Orlando.
Right. So how was the reception for it, though, by the non-DOA fans that were there?
It was good. When I was playing, I talked to a lot of the people a lot of them were Marvel players that just kind of signed up just for fun. A few of them were really interested. Some of them talked to me about more intricate stuff, and a couple of them were really intrigued and were hoping the game would come back. So I'm hoping it picks up.
Yeah, DOA always has a stigma about it where it's looked down upon by other fans, fighting game fans. It's unfairly in a lot of ways, but fairly in others.
The stigma comes from the defensive hold. Other fighting games, and I'm notorious for this myself because I played Virtua Fighter. They have hit confirms and frame traps, and there's a lot of guaranteed setups. And when you get a stun, that's it. That's your damage. But Dead Life is paper rock scissors, and that hold system kind of skews with that guaranteed setups and combos, and a lot of people don't like that.
Right, I mean, like, the only way really to get a guarantee is with the critical burst in this, right? Other than, like, Jan Lee's Dragner.
Yeah, there's unique tools. Lei Feng has her wall throw into a back turn, her mid kick counter into a back turn. Several characters have throws into back turns that get guaranteed setups. Pai has almost all of her counters have guaranteed follow-ups. There's specific characters with sit-down stuns that are guaranteed. There's a lot of guaranteed situations 5 that make it a better game than 4.
Right. Yeah. I think I discovered one with Brad Wong that has a sit-down stun that's guaranteed stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yes, Brad Wong has a lot of. He's a really good character now. I mean, he goes in, as you know, he goes in that handstand that causes a backstagger. That's pretty crazy. It's really good.
Yeah, the one I was talking about was when he's back facing and then he does the elbow drop that puts you into a sit down stun, and I think the kick after that is guaranteed, which is a launcher. I think.
No,
I could be
the
mistaken.
shoulder puts him into a crumple, which it's not guaranteed, but they can't hold immediately. So if you time it right, it's not necessarily guaranteed, but they'd have to buffer and get the just frame defensive hold to catch it.
As a Brad Wong player, I am pleased with the improvements they have made to him. Because he was so bad in every other game.
How come you always played in them?
He's just the most fun character to play. I play who's fun. I don't play necessarily who's good. Because if everybody just played who was the best, everyone would have just been picking the same character.
Well, that's no fun. That's really boring.
And just because you pick a character that's bad doesn't mean you can't win. It just means you have to try harder.
Yeah, I mean, right now, in my opinion, Hitomi is down at the bottom of the list of Dead or Alive 5, and I'm still using her. She's still my favorite. I'm disappointed with how bad she is right now, but I'm still going to keep using her.
Yeah, and you took second in that tournament with her, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you switched over to the ultra high-tier Jan Lee, and then you didn't do too well with the high-tier character.
I hadn't used them all day. I wasn't really prepped for it, and I don't know, that finals, I don't know if I was nervous or I don't know what happened, but I choked like hardcore. Like if you ever get a chance to watch the stream, you'll see in the very first match, it was on the ice stage, and I got 3 critical bursts in a row, and I dropped all the launchers. Like, I got the launcher in the first one, and I did kick. Like, I buffered in the juggle, and it came out kick. And then the second time, I did down punch for some reason. It's just, I kept dropping juggles, and right then and there, I was like, this is going to be a long match. So.
Right, but second place is still really good.
It is, but I'm still disappointed in myself.
Yeah, if you're used to playing at a high level and then playing, and then used to, you obviously demand more out of yourself whenever you're playing, so that definitely affects how you feel afterward.
Right.
Yeah, you can tell I was pretty salty on the stream because I immediately just got up, grabbed a controller, and grabbed my backpack and walked out.
I did notice that. I was like, well, okay, there he goes.
Well, you were fighting a Lisa, and Lisa is really annoying.
Well, she was called La Mariposa. Is that her?
This is the
same
character.
Yeah, she's the same character. Lisa is basically a scientist. Story-wise, she's a Doatech scientist, but like her side career is luchador wrestling, and her wrestling name is La Mariposa.
Which is so dumb. She's a scientist and a professional wrestler. How does that make sense?
That's pretty great, actually.
Yeah,
well, yeah, it's great,
like
but it's so dumb. Ever.
Well, the whole scientist thing didn't come about until Dimensions, right? I don't think she was mentioned as a scientist in 4.
Yeah, I think she was just a wrestler. And then I never played Dimensions, so then first time you see her, I think she's a wrestler, and then later in the game she's in a lab wearing a lab coat and glasses. I was confused.
Yeah, and she was introduced in the volleyball games, in the first one, as like Tina's best friend, and that's how we first found out about her. And then when 4 came out, she was added to the roster as a fighter.
I have always had problems fighting her. I used to have to use Ein to fight her, but now they took him out of DOA 5, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm thinking Hayate, but I'll see.
I have trouble with her too, but she's parlor tricks. She's really not a good character. She's actually a very terrible character.
I know, she's really unsafe.
Yes, but she's also got a lot of parlor tricks. She plays a good, confusing game. Like, if she can be played well by a good player, she can be very confusing, despite that she's a horrible character. Because she's got a lot of parlor tricks that she's got mixed up into her jumping attacks that go from throws to mid kicks to low kicks, and her down back punch is just devastating. It's her best tool, and it's hard to stop. It crushes all highs and some mids, and it's a very difficult punch to deal with, and it chains into a 3-kick string. It's really annoying.
It is. I was on a stream yesterday where I was dominating the room, and then all of a sudden there was a pretty good Lisa, and then I went down hard. Lisa is tough until you figure it out.
Yeah, I was in that room. It was pretty laggy. I didn't hang around very long.
Yeah, I left after a while because I just don't like sitting in rooms that big because it takes forever to actually get to play if you're not just winning every single match. So
even
overall,
if I'm winning those rooms, anything more than 4 people is too much for me. It just starts lagging.
So overall, how would you say this compares to the rest of the games in the series? I mean, after only a week of play, I know it's hard to tell, but initial thoughts?
It's better than Dead or Alive 4, but I don't think it lives up to Dead or Alive 3.1.
And 3.1, for those that don't know, is there was like a patch for 3 that came out. Didn't you need it was on like an OXM demo disc?
No, the Dead or Alive 3.1 is a Japanese version. The US got Dead or Alive 3 first, and then Japan got it later, where they made a bunch of changes to the game. They added characters got more guard breaks. They added frame advantage to the game. They added wall text and more. And pre-step dodging was better. Like, you could actually sidestep stuff. To this day, it's still the best Dead or Alive game. But right now, Dead or Alive 5, it's a good fighter for certain characters. Like, half the cast can actually play Dead or Alive 5, and the other half of the cast is playing Dead or Alive 4 stun game, and so to me, it's like it doesn't live up to 3. But it's definitely better than 4 in most aspects. It sits in the middle between better than 2U and 4, but not as good as 3. So, but
it's still pretty good so far.
It's a good fighter, yeah. It's got its issues, but it's definitely a very solid DOA game.
I know I've heard rumors that they're working on a patch. What would you like to see changed? Like more guaranteeds added in?
I'd like to see sit-down stuns to be actually more useful. Back at E3, when, sit-down stuns and critical bursts were actually something to really fear in the E3 version, because you go into a sit-down stun to a guaranteed critical burst. But they changed that over the builds, and now only a few characters really get anything useful as sit-down stuns. Like, Hitomi's sit-down stun is useless. It can be easily staggered out of and blocked, and no critical bursts are guaranteed out of sit-downs. The best that will happen is if you slow escape the sit-down, you'll get stunned by the critical burst, but it won't be counted as a critical burst. It'll just reset the stun.
Right.
I'd like to see the sit-down stun to be as strong as it was at the E3 build. I'd like to see slow escaping to be weakened a little bit. In my opinion, it's too easy.
Yeah, I was slow escaping against you like a madman.
Yeah, I think it's too easy. I'd like to see characters that, like right now, Hitomi and Helena and Lisa and several of the lower tier characters are playing Dead or Alive 4, I'd like to see them get more tools to be able to keep up with the Dead or Alive 5 characters like Jan Lee, Lei Fang, Rig, Mila. They all have the mechanics to play in the DOA 5. I'd like to see the other characters get buffed up to them. I don't want to see nerfs, despite what people think. You know?
Yeah, well, Helena is actually worse. She's playing like between 4 and Ultimate because they took away a lot of her tools that she had in 4.
Helena in DOA 4, she was a very, very bad character, but when they found her Force Tech setups, which for those that don't know, a Force Tech is when you land on the ground, you're laying down on the ground. A Force Tech is basically the attacker hitting the player on the ground and forcing them up off the ground, pretty much removing the wake up kick option. And Helena had the best loop in the game. She could throw you in the air and force tech you as you landed on the ground and loop you over and over again, mix it up into the throw, into unblockable. I think it was unblockable mid punch, and it was just when they found that loop, she became top tier.
She also had like the best crush in the game, pretty much.
Yeah, it was it down forward punch
or punch plus kick, the one that was like it crushed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they took that out, or it's still there, but it only crushes highs now.
Yeah, her down forward one, it only crushes highs now, and the ground game is completely different, so her force tech setups is completely gone. And she lost, like, her... I don't know why they removed it, but she lost her basic juggle. It was punch, down kick, punch. That was a strange thing to remove.
Yeah, that was just a string in the game. It didn't make sense to be cut.
And they've done it to other characters, too. Hitomi lost half of her attacks. The biggest one was her kick down kick punch was safe and it was a really good move in 4 and they took it out. I don't know why. Her forward throw on high counter throw used to give an unblockable back forward punch. She can't do that anymore. Her back punch on near a wall when a guard broke gave her an unblockable kick. She can't do that in 5. So those are my issues with the game right now. Is tools are missing and characters aren't as good as they should be.
So you really wouldn't want to see Rig get nerfed?
No.
Okay, because I know you were saying that he's too good and he's got too much frame advantage.
He's a good character. He's definitely top tier. My anger leads into sarcasm. Him being broken. He's not broken. He's just really, really good. It's hard to fight him.
Yeah, because he can just constantly attack you with nonstop, and it's pretty much impossible to punish him with throws, like block and then throw him. You can't do it.
Nah, he's got too much frame advantage from those flurry of bending kicks.
Yeah, I found the best way to deal with it was to use Hayate's sidestep move, but not everyone has that since it's Hayate's.
Yeah, but yeah, Totoro wants us to move on soon. I'm sure people are getting bored of Dead or Alive talk. But I'm just gonna end it with when the patch, if we get a patch and they interviewed Shimbori at season beatings, they're looking at balance patching. If we get one, I really don't want nerfs. I'm not a big fan of nerfing characters unless like they're like overly broken. What I want is the lower characters to be brought up to like Rig and Janley's level.
You want to see buffs?
Yes, I want characters to be buffed because nerfing characters makes the game stale and it just doesn't make fun. You want to give more characters tools, not less.
Right, like in Dead or Alive 4, I was a Christie player, and then the patch came out, and they completely nerfed her and made her useless to me for the way I used her. I hated that. And she wasn't like a super good character or anything.
Yeah, Dead or Alive 4, it was a bad game for the fact that everybody played the same, literally.
Yep.
I don't want to see that again. So if we, like I said, if we get a patch, buff characters, please. Don't nerf anybody, just buff them.
Okay, so Darfox and Totoro, I assume you two are not familiar with Dead or Alive. What did you think watching the live stream of it?
It was a fighting game.
You know, besides the basic stuff about moves and stuff, that's kind of played out to make fun of that already. It seems cool. It seems a bit like Virtua Fighter, in that it's kind of fast and fluid.
Well, it is based on Virtua Fighter.
Why is that? Is that because it was just like originally started as a ripoff, or are the team members originally some Virtua Fighter Sega people,
Well, it
for no
was
reason?
when it first came out. It was built on the Virtua Fighter engine, so it just has like the same attacks and everything. It's like 2 punches and a hold.
The best way to put it is the games play very similarly but very different. They share similar mechanics, but at the same time they're two very different games. So that's why Dead Alive is like called the bastard child of Virtua Fighter.
It's like Virtua Fighter Lite, kind of,
Yeah.
because of the counters. It completely changed the way it played. It's
Yeah,
also
but
more
it seemed,
fluid, I'd
seemed
say.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just excited that we could have Raansu on as someone who's a tournament level player to kind of talk about it. It's even though it's in depth, I think it's interesting to hear, and I mean I can just tell by the enthusiasm that it's something that you definitely want to see the game succeed. You want to see the community thrive and things like that. So I mean, from that standpoint, it's I think that enthusiasm carries over into other people.
Yeah, I hope that the community builds for this one and shows up for tournaments, because I guess that was a problem in the past.
Yeah, so do I. And I'm starting to push the Florida scene. I made friends with the guy that got Dead Alive at CEO. So I told him just anything he needs, I'll do my best to help.
Do you know if it's going to be at Evo, which is like the biggest fighting game tournament?
That's a stretch. We'll
'Cause
find
4
out
was
next
there.
year.
4 was there the first year 4 was out.
Well, Dead Alive 4 was like the only new fighting game, and Evo was like, okay, why not? And Microsoft was at the time Microsoft was doing a lot of big pushes. MLG picked it up, and then CGS had that whole thing for 2 seasons. And Dead Alive 4 was being pushed a lot by Microsoft, even though the community as a whole despised the game.
Right.
They could pay their way in. Apparently, that's how Mortal Kombat got in.
Mortal Kombat paid to get into Evo?
Apparently, that's what some guy claimed on the podcast.
I don't want to get into that. I don't know what goes on with Evo. I suppose that's possible. I don't know if Team Ninja would ever be willing to do that. They want the tournament team to thrive. They've been really pushing for it. I mean, Shimbori came out last year, Dead Alive in Dallas. I met him, talked to him. I got to give him my input into the game, and I even got to see that input. Like, many of the things that we talked about are in the game, and it was really cool to see that. And then he came out this year for the launch tournaments at Season Beating up in I think it was in Ohio, and he was there and he competed. I don't know how well he did, but he was there and he did Q&As and he took feedback, so that they really care. You can tell that Shimbori really wants the game to do well.
I kind of wish that they would have put up the money to get dedicated servers in the way that Tekken did.
Yeah, I wish they had Soul Calibur servers. Soul Calibur 5, I only played it for like 2 weeks, but for the time, like they had a central server that you synced to, and it was like playing offline. It was really, really good.
But that cost money, and Tecmo probably doesn't have a lot of money, because I hear Ninja Gaiden didn't do too well.
No, it was... well, I mean, it sold well initially, but review-wise and reception-wise, I don't think it didn't do well at all.
Right. Okay, I think that's enough DOA.
Well, speaking of something that didn't do very well review-wise, or something that hasn't done very well...
Is this Resident Evil 6? Are we talking
This is Resident
6?
Evil 6.
President Evil?
Yeah. President Evil?
Anyone? President?
Sure. No.
Darfox? President?
I don't...
That was a joke made with the first trailer. That's
Yep.
old.
Very.
I've heard it's been getting kind of mixed reviews, but I don't really follow the Resident Evil franchise.
It's been leading towards a negative, I think.
Destructoid gave it a 3 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Wait, but the Destructoid is Jim Sterling, isn't he?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that
but
I'm
like
not going to
everybody
say
is
anything.
around there.
I'm not going to say anything about him.
Yeah, he's kind of like a Robert Rouser a little bit, but whatever. It's been getting like a lot of like 4, like a lot of scores under 5 in in a 10-point scale. So it's kind of weird to see it do so poorly, because I was expecting a few bad reviews.
Yeah,
Or not bad
I
reviews,
was
but, like,
expecting
some
mixed
7,
to
some
positive.
6.
Like,
Yeah.
like the upper mid-range review scores.
Well, in that Destructoid review, I'm just looking at the meta review that they've got out here on Joystick. The Destructoid is the lowest they've got it at 30 out of 100, so 3 out of 10, whatever. The highest one is Game Informer, and they gave it like 88 out of 100.
But
so, and there's a lot of stuff that's between 45 and 60 out of 100.
What I was reading about it, though, was that they went too heavy with the QuickTime events, and if that's true, then I'd probably agree with the reviews.
I don't know. QuickTime events have always been part since Resident Evil 4.
Yeah,
so they've been part of it.
But if they went overboard with it and did too many QuickTime events.
Possibly, but I don't know. That's kind of hard to judge, right? That's something that you really have to play the game, and it's up to your own decisions.
Well,
I do know that I did play the demo, and the quick time events I saw there were kind of boring. They weren't very exciting or interesting. So even if there isn't a lot, if they're at that quality, then it's kind of a bummer. Because I don't care about quick time events as long as they're like interesting or over the top or funny or something crazy about it, right?
Well, in
but
5,
here they seem to be kind of boring.
5 had like one of my all-time favorite moments in a video game ever, and it was because of a co-op quick time event.
Is that the one with Wesker jumping over Chris
on the plane? Yes.
Yes. If you fail it, spoilers. Well, it's just getting game over. It's not spoiler, but if you fail a quick time event, he twists Chris's neck around like 180 degrees. It looks funny as hell. It's weird.
Me and my friend were playing that, and then we just laughed for like 5 minutes straight. It was great.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've never really gotten into any of the Resident Evil games, and I thought that maybe that this one might be an opportunity. But with these reviews, it's like there's no way in hell that I'm paying anywhere close to $60 for something that's been reviewed this poorly.
Well, aren't the reviews saying it's too actiony now?
Well, one of the things they said was that they changed so much that they're essentially trying to make everyone happy, is what I am just reading here really quickly, just kind of gleaning from some of these different reviews here. So, I mean, it
sounded from the reviews I read like there was too many QuickTime events, and they Call of Duty'd Resident Evil.
I tend to agree with the thing that they try to make everybody happy, because I don't mind them changing the gameplay of Resident Evil 4 and 5, because 4 and 5 is very similar, right? They only updated it slightly in 5.
Right.
But they don't seem like they changed it for the better. The game doesn't play much more fluidly than it did in 5. In fact, it seems a little more clunky to me. I'm judging from the demo, right?
Yeah.
I had a very lukewarm reaction to the demo. I still want to play it, but the demo and these reviews are kind of like put me a little cold on it.
The camera was way too close to your character, and your character took up like 3/4 of the screen.
Yeah, that probably fluctuates throughout the game. It depends on the set piece or whatever. But in general, it's just kind of weird how like they gave it the option to have like an aiming reticle, because 4 and 5 you have the laser sight, right? But in this game they have the option to have the aiming reticle, but the laser sight still moves around, still shakes inside your aiming reticle. So it's bizarre. It's like it's kind of a mishmash of things that people would like about Resident Evil, but other people who don't like Resident Evil have been asking for, and it seems like it's neither here nor there. It's like in the middle.
Right.
Well, I know that we've talked about on here how I have played a little bit of Resident Evil 5, and I couldn't like get into it at all.
Didn't you try playing the demo and you couldn't finish it?
No, it's no. I was playing with a friend of mine. We went to a Blockbuster before they like all closed, and
Blockbuster
became Blockbuster before they all came, or before they all closed and became like Halloween stores. Or fireworks stores in the summer, but before that had happened, we tried to play it, and it was like we couldn't get through like the initial encounter, where you kind of run through and take out like a few zombies, but then all of a sudden you get completely mobbed, and it was probably us, and we just didn't understand that, hey, you need to run as opposed to kill every single zombie. I mean, this was
I think
when we played this, so it was kind of in the middle of we had been playing Left 4 Dead and things like that.
Yeah, if it was the first encounter, did you even have a gun?
Yeah, you had a gun, you just didn't have very many.
Yeah,
it's the one where there was like the guy, the executioner, and the guy with the megaphone. Is that what we're talking about? That like you had to wait out for a helicopter to come eventually.
This was right after the game came out, so it's been.
Yeah, you don't remember exactly.
Raansu, have you played any Resident Evil?
I played 4 on the Wii. That's really about it.
4 is pretty good.
one of the things that I was kind of getting at was, I've kind of been on record as saying that I think that having what I will call, for just because I don't want to get into the whole the bad control as being scary. I don't. I think that the games control horribly, and I don't feel like fighting the game to move around is and to survive is necessarily a good thing.
Five has multiple control schemes, and one of them makes it control just like any other third-person shooter. It's just you can't walk and aim. But other than that, it controls exactly like Gears of War.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and if that's not the default, if that's not the default, then I mean, I didn't mess around with the control scheme at all. I kind of feel like whatever you turn on by default is at that point in time, I felt like whatever you turn on by default is kind of what you're supposed to work with.
Yeah, they defaulted it to the bad control scheme, which is a weird choice.
They defaulted it to complete shit. But well, I know that you've offered to like sit down and play through it.
I'll play through 5 with you.
Yeah, well, we may do that eventually, especially if I can pick up 5 at a relatively cheap.
Or since Raansu's never played it, he could play through it with you. That would be interesting. 2 people that don't really like it. You'd just be having a miserable time, just raging.
I could see that where it would be simultaneous news events where 2 grown men, one in Indiana, one in Florida, have like set fire to their either PlayStation 3 or PC or Xbox 360 because they were playing Dead or Alive on the brain, Resident Evil 5 together, and just having a miserable time about it. I mean, if I can't get it, trying this time, then I'm liable to take the copy of the game and just load it on a catapult and catapult it into the middle of the Ohio River. that bitch can have it.
I'm not gonna lie, I have no interest in playing Resident Evil 5 or 6.
I can understand. Yeah.
Resident Evil 5 came out. I think I was still living in England at the time, and I saw one of my buddies playing it, and it didn't interest me at all.
Well, the storyline in Resident Evil is up there with Metal Gear Solid as far as ridiculous goes.
Well, Resident Evil takes itself seriously in different ways than like Metal Gear.
Well,
like Resident Evil never really talks about politics, but sometimes it takes itself seriously with like the character interactions. Like Wesker was supposed to be such a big deal, and he's kind of a weirdo.
Well,
it wasn't even a story. It was like I was more laughing at him constantly punching his teammate over and over again on accident.
That sounds pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, he'd go for like a melee, and she'd like walk in front of him.
So he had friendly fire turned on?
I don't know if he was hurting her, but she like always got in his way.
Yeah. I think when he had friendly fire turned on, it wouldn't hurt him, but it gave him like the hurt animation.
Yeah. Also, don't ever play Resident Evil 5 by yourself. The AI is so bad.
Yeah,
that's the interesting thing about 5 though, is because I wasn't really going to buy it. Actually, I didn't buy it. My friend isn't really into scary games, Resident Evil, but I had downloaded the demo, and he played a split screen at my house, and he loves co-op games, so he's like, oh shit, I'm gonna buy this shit, and like, just cold turkey, he hasn't played any Resident Evil games, and he bought, and we played through it all, like, multiple times. I got the platinum trophy on it, just for the co-op, so the co-op experience was definitely fun. Just the rest of it was kind of weird.
Co-op to anything, and it's gonna be good, most of the time. Co-op makes everything better. Everything. Maybe.
I'm trying to come up with an exception to that rule, and I'm drawing a blank.
Bacon. Because you want it all for yourself.
Bacon with someone else.
You want that bacon for yourself.
And then but you want to go on the buddy system. That way, when your arteries completely clogged shut, that someone can work the defibrillator.
I guess that's true.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, you could just get a helper monkey. Train a helper monkey. Problem solved.
Train a capuchin to work a defibrillator.
Yes.
I just want to hear him say clear.
Although there's a not good percent, there's like a 90% chance in that situation you'd be electrocuted in your sleep.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was literally about to say that. Is I can imagine.
He's not moving. He's not breathing.
So are we done with... Well, you want to talk a little bit more about the story of Resident Evil, Starfox?
Not really. I am sort of interested to who's going to appear in Resident Evil 6 besides the people that already announced.
I bet Wesker's in it.
Nah, I doubt it. But it seems obvious either Jill or Claire's going to show up.
Come on, Wesker's died in like every Resident Evil.
Yeah, but this time he died in a volcano with 2 RPGs in his face.
Well, in the first one, he was ripped in half by a tyrant.
He wasn't ripped in half. He was just stabbed through the body.
Is he like some kind of immortal or something?
He was.
He has a virus in him.
He infected himself with the T virus or a virus.
What's the T virus?
The progenitor
Tyrant
T
virus.
Veronica virus.
The progenitor, yeah, the Veronica virus. He can teleport and run real fast.
He could be Matrix.
Yes, he has bullet time.
Yeah, and he's just a weirdo.
Although, the second best part of Resident Evil 5, you're a robot, Totoro. Second best part... Okay, go on.
So there's...
First one was the T virus, and there was the G virus.
Oh yeah, in part 2, that was like the big reveal.
Yeah. The G virus,
then,
which created the devil, was its name, instead of a tyrant. It was this big thing with like an eyeball on its shoulder.
Yeah, that was Barry Birkin, or Birkin something.
Yeah, Birkin. And then Sherry Birkin was his daughter, who's in 6.
Yeah. Yeah, she's in 6, and she's all grown up. And I think she might have, like, health regeneration, because I recall a line in the demo when Jake says, she says something to him like, oh, you took a big fall, and he's like, yeah, too bad I don't have your health regeneration. I'm like, what? Wait, that's weird.
Maybe. Well, she was infected, wasn't she? And then she had to get cured.
Yeah, so that might be some residual thing about the snake in her mouth. Because that's how she was infected.
Yeah. One of my favorites of Resident Evil 2 was when you had to play as her, as a like 11-year-old girl, and you don't have any weapons or anything, so you just have to run from everything. It was pretty good.
Yeah. And strangely, though, she had, like, super health. She had, like, a lot of health. Because, you know, that second will be really, really hard. You're going to get chomped a few times, right?
Yeah.
So they gave you more health so you could get through. But it doesn't really make sense because she's a little girl.
Yeah. First the T virus, then G virus, then the progenitor Veronica virus from Code Veronica. Well, what
I think
about
it's just
Zero?
the Veronica T virus, and the progenitor virus is something else.
What was this? Was that the progenitor? Was that the one from Zero? The one with the slugs?
Maybe.
There was a slug monster made of like a billion tiny slugs. Well, big slugs, I guess.
Well, speaking of slugs,
you've seen the movie Slugs?
Speaking of slugs, has anyone played the new Warcraft expansion, World of Warcraft expansion?
Well, there was that one part in it where you go up to the guy with the thing, and then he tells you to go and collect those things, and you bring them back, and then it's quest complete. You guys do that?
It's like you've played the whole thing.
Did I just describe World of Warcraft? Oh, and then there's a mount.
So.
I think.
Well, and then there's an epic mount.
I think Raansu's the only one in here that's played WoW, or maybe you, Totoro.
I have never played WoW, and actually I went out went out with my wife over the weekend, and we went to a mall to she had to get the power adapter replaced for her laptop, and we were sitting there talking, and I was talking to her about my nephew just to see if they had checked in, if she had checked in to see how they were doing. He's, I think, 9 years old, and my brother-in-law, not my nephew's dad, but my nephew's uncle. So this is my wife's sister's kid, and we're talking about my wife's sister's brother. So anyway, but he's got him hooked on WoW.
I saw video the other day of Elijah Wood debating Dominic Monaghan. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Monaghan. Yeah.
They're arguing over WoW. Elijah Wood is arguing on the behalf of WoW being dumb, and Charlie is arguing for it being good. It was really good, and then they boxed.
So there was definitely a winner and a loser in that then.
Yeah, I would say Frodo won the debate, but Charlie won the fight.
I could totally see Dominic Monaghan just beating the crap out of Elijah Wood.
That's kind of what happened. The best line Elijah Wood said was, "I played a little game called Zelda on the Nintendo, and after that, I was done with fantasy."
Until he starred in 3 movies.
Yeah, I think he was
the originator of fantasy.
And then he pretty much said all RPGs are stupid, or Japanese RPGs are stupid, the turn-based ones.
Well, I can't blame Dominic Monaghan for beating the shit out of him then.
But he doesn't even play video games. He said that. But yeah, you guys should look up the video of those two debating and then boxing. I think it was from Fantastic Fest. I think 2011. I think that's when this happened. You guys should look it up. It's a pretty good video.
Oh, did you see this the other day when we were looking up stuff for the other thing?
Well,
The thing and the thing.
actually, I was listening to another podcast, and they had the guy that runs Fantastic Fest on, and then he talked about it. So then I looked it up, and then that's how I discovered Fantastic Fest, and then found out all that other stuff, which looks cool.
So, for those who don't know, Fantastic Fest is is it just strictly a horror
No, it's
thing,
genre.
or is it like horror, any
It's
genre film?
like sci-fi, horror, action.
Right. So, but it's this kind of film festival that takes place at the Alamo Drafthouse.
Yeah, there's this one movie that was shown. I think it's a Chilean movie, actually. And it's called Bring Me the Head of Machine Gun Woman.
Tráeme la cabeza de la mujer metralladora.
Sure.
Yep. That's it. What'd you just
You know,
call
I
me?
don't like. I don't like Chilean movies because they always have nudity and sex in them, no matter what.
No matter what?
And what's the downside? I fail to see the downside of this.
Well, it's just in serious criticism on Chilean films. I haven't seen a lot, but the few I've seen is like this just has like weird sex scene in the middle of this, and I feel like they're trying to copy like French films or something because they think that to be like a good movie you gotta have some sex in it. You know, like just some casual nudity is bizarre. It's not like Chilean culture
Gratuitous.
is like French culture. You know, it's not like they have nudity on TV and commercials like French does. French.
It was directed by Ernesto Diaz. Do you know who that is?
Nope. I know who Alejandro
Amenabar?
Gorgorchi.
Oh,
What's the name?
Ernesto Diaz Espinosa.
No, I never heard of this movie. We could move on.
Okay. Chilean movie, I see.
Maybe.
But yeah, I think the Alamo Drafthouse is like one of the few movie theaters that I would actually like seek out. Travel somewhere for something where they do because they do events where they show like even older movies, and they typically do like special posters and stuff. Not that I'm like just want to go there for the to get a poster or whatever, but
Yeah, they have those awesome posters.
yeah, they do. But it's I think it's one of those places where you can like go in, you sit down, and you can actually like order food and drinks and stuff and sit and watch a movie.
Can you really do that? Because
like,
I
eat
thought
dinner.
like if you had a cell phone there, they would nail it to the wall.
Well,
So that would
you just turn your cell phone
that
off.
would be kind of hypocritical. You
Your cell
can
phone off.
get up and order food, call a waitress over, but if your cell phone vibrates, it gets nailed to a wall.
Well, there's just some things you don't do, man. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Yeah, you might be right.
I was thinking that was. But anyway, yeah, good stuff.
I would like to, I have you guys ever been to a film festival? Like, I would kind of like to go to one.
I would too, but I'm lazy, so.
Yeah, they're so far away. There's none really in Atlanta.
I have been to the Heartland Film Festival, which is the film festival that takes place in Indianapolis. It's a lot of they call it Heartland Truly Moving Pictures, and I was doing some reviews for a local print media place for a local paper at that point in time, and wrote up some reviews of some of the movies that were there. But I sat through a lot of movies. Some of them were, foreign movies that were just. But all the Heartland movies are really kind of family friendly, and they generally have a positive message about life and other stuff. So, but a lot of documentaries, a lot of foreign films that kind of had, whatever, just a lot of. They were just generally good movies. But yeah, it's one thing to sit down and say that I am going to go see all these movies. It's another thing to like actually like sit from like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Every day for 3 days and plan out what you're going to go see and all this other stuff.
Okay, can I ask you guys just one question completely unrelated?
Go for it.
Who do you think is stronger, Superman or Hulk?
Well, the Hulk is only his strength is only bound by his anger and his rage.
But Superman is fueled by the sun, so
it depends where it is, and it depends on where they are and how pissed off the Hulk is.
Raansu, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, they're both pretty much the same, aren't they? Indestructible, super strength. Just one is like controlled by anger.
Kinda.
I think it would depend on Superman's eye beams being able to penetrate Hulk's skin. You could lobotomize the Hulk.
But they can't.
Yeah, well,
how do you know they can't?
Hulk gets bigger as he gets angrier. That's kind of underplayed. He could eventually
be the size of
a planet if he's mad enough.
Well, see, that's one thing that pissed me off when people were talking, or like they were complaining about the Hulk being so big, and like I think the original Ang Lee.
Yeah,
Hulk
he kept
movie.
getting bigger because he kept getting angrier.
Exactly, and I thought that was like a given that was something that people understood.
No, people are dumb.
I actually really thought that that Ang Lee Hulk movie was done pretty well, because I really liked how they did some things with. They would move images and scenes and boxes, and it really felt like comic book panels. And I thought that was a really cool touch, and I really appreciated it.
I thought it was boring.
It was sometimes boring, but in general, it's kind of a cool movie. I like it better than the one with Edward Norton.
I like that one better.
I think that one's kind of boring because it's just nothing really happens besides the fight at the end.
Yeah, they didn't treat it so far. All the Hulk movies treat Hulk like a monster instead of a hero.
Right. Well, I don't know that you can do. I think we've talked about this before. If you can do a Hulk movie, would have to be done just right. I think he would probably work better as an ensemble cast member, as evidenced in the Avengers.
Another planet. Put him on another planet.
Planet Hulk.
Exactly. World War Hulk. But can we agree that Superboy Prime is stronger than both Superman and Hulk?
Is he though? I'm not sure.
Yes. He punches reality and changes continuity.
But is he infinitely strong? Is that part of the fiction?
He has no weakness. This is part of the fiction. Because he's only weak to kryptonite from his reality, and there is no kryptonite because that reality was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And plus he can get a suit that just funnels in energy from the sun and makes him super strong. And he gets that. And then he fights everyone in the DC universe else.
Well, mostly everybody that can fly in space.
No, not in space. He does it on Earth. He fights him twice. He wins.
Speaking of the DC universe, has Arrow started yet?
I think that starts maybe this week or next week.
So yeah, if you're listening to this, I think that starts soon. If you're interested in that, there's been a lot of TV that's started up over the past week. Do
you want to talk about
2 weeks?
The Doctor Who episode?
Yeah, that's the other thing that happened was that there was the mid-season end of Doctor Who.
It was the final episode for Amy and Rory. Raansu and Darfox, I don't think any clue what we're talking about.
I've never watched Doctor Who.
I haven't watched it, but I don't mind the spoilers.
Spoilers.
You know me, I'm not a TV person.
Yeah. You watched Firefly 8 years after it was canceled, and then you got mad it was canceled.
It was on Netflix.
Pissed off.
Yeah, it was on Netflix, and I watched it, and I got to the end, I was like, that's it? What? I didn't know it was an old TV show.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is that once you realize that, Fox originally aired the episodes out of order.
Yeah, they did. They really screwed up that show.
It's like if you were to write a book about everything you don't want to do, or everything you want to avoid in order to make your TV show successful, they turned around and did the exact opposite.
Yeah, they aired the second episode first, and then they aired the first episode, but they aired it as a clip episode, which is insane, because how do you do a clip episode when there hasn't been any episodes yet?
I don't know.
And then they gave it no sort of I don't think they gave it any advertising.
Yeah, pretty much. And then word of mouth got out, and then it became the best-selling TV show on DVD, ever or something. And then I got a movie, and the movie is great.
I was a little bit disappointed with the movie.
Is it?
But
You just don't like
reasons.
Characters dying. Spoilers.
I was satisfied with the movie. I mean, it gave an ending to the series. I mean, the story was rushed through the movie to finish it, but I was just happy to have an ending.
A lot of people were upset with. I guess it's okay to spoil Serenity now. A lot of people.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna spoil Serenity.
A lot of people were upset the way Wash died.
Yeah, he went out like a punk bitch, much like Samuel L. Jackson and.
Is he the plane pilot?
He is a leaf on the wind.
Yeah, I get why they did it. I really do. I wasn't happy with it, but I get why.
It was to show that anyone could die at any time, and then they're in the next big conflict with the Reapers. It made that all the more urgent, and it seemed like anyone could die.
Well, and then at that point, you were waiting for someone to die.
Exactly. It was super effective. They killed everyone's favorite character. Was he your favorite character? He was my favorite character.
Yeah, Wash was awesome.
He was not my favorite character, but...
How dare you?
As someone who didn't watch Firefly, that didn't bother me because it happened. You know?
As someone who has no reference for who these characters are.
Yeah, well, like I've seen the whole movie up to that point, right? It's not like I just saw that scene. So I did get him as like a likable character. He's a good guy. So from that point, yeah, it sucks that he died, but he died like in a perilous situation, right? It's not like he went to flush the toilet and then a snake came out and bit him and killed him.
Right.
You know, it's like he died in the middle of like the climax. So it was like really surprising, kind of out of nowhere, but it was still like in an action scene, right? It wasn't truly.
Well,
random.
it was kind of weird because it was from Joss Whedon, creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then Wash was killed in a movie in space by a giant wooden stake through the heart. It was wooden.
Was it wooden? I thought it was like metal grinders.
Which is weird. Wooden stake in space.
No, they landed in the planet, I believe.
Or was it a space station?
Yeah, I think it might have been a space station.
It's no moon.
Or the moon, because they wanted to propagate the information.
I'm glad you got that. But anyway, so
yeah, Doctor Who.
Speaking of characters,
well, kind of dying,
but kind of.
There is so many ways around what happened in that. They could easily get Amy and Rory back.
Well, no, because he said at the end that it was so everything.
1937,
was so,
right?
Well, but like with them, it was. Well, and once they knew what had happened, it made it a fixed
But
event.
what would happen if they would go back and leave a tombstone that said that? It was just a tombstone, a fake tombstone.
Oh, I don't know. That's anyway.
Fake tombstone. Kenzo even posted it.
Fake tombstone.
It would work.
But it changed before their eyes.
Yeah. So?
It was much like Back to the Future 3.
Tombstone.
Mario, for God's sakes, don't stand there.
You're not thinking fourth dimensionally. So what do you think of that episode?
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, anytime that you get the Doctor and the Weeping Angels and you get everything kind of in get that going, that's like a recipe for...
What do you think of the Statue of Liberty?
That was
so ridiculous.
Alternately, that was alternately awesome and the worst thing I've ever seen.
So good.
Well, it's like every time, so they hear this thing creaking, outside, and like everything's just like super loud, and they can't figure out what it is, and then all of a sudden, Statue of Liberty is an angel.
Yeah, a giant angel. What did you think when you first saw this? The mouth in the background. Yeah, when you first saw the guy, the private detective, and then he runs to the roof, and then in the background behind him, you just see the big giant mouth.
Yeah.
Were you thinking Statue of Liberty, or were you just thinking a big angel?
Well, I had seen the previews, so I knew that it was going to be Big Angel.
Or both.
I'm sorry, I'm getting something here. Okay, yeah, but yeah, no, I thought I had seen that it was going to be the Statue of Liberty. I did not watch
the previews, so I didn't know. It was great. It was so dumb.
Yeah, it was there. I think when they did like this season on Doctor Who at the beginning of the season after the
not since Ghostbusters 2 has the Statue of Liberty been so awesome.
But did you notice who the one guy who was the keeper of the angels was? He was the guy from he was Friar Tuck, wasn't he? From Robin Hood. Michael McShane. Robin Hood, Prince of Dweebs.
That's the one.
And he was also
Whose line is it anyway?
Yeah, exactly. The British version with
I
Clive
think he was on
Anderson.
the US version once or twice. Maybe? I don't know.
Was he? You don't remember. But, so yeah, he was there. But a lot of the, I mean, a lot of the things that they did with the Angels this time were really good.
Yeah, I like that they went back to just sending them back in time instead of the what. I don't even know what they were doing to them in the previous Angel episodes.
Well, they were turning them into angels.
Yeah.
Like the thing happening with Amy's.
Yeah, he was, and they were stealing their voice or whatever.
Yeah, something. But yeah, I liked them going back to the original concept of the angels. And I mean, to know that spoilers at the end of the episode, they get that Rory and Amy get sent back, but to know that they have they do wind up having full and happy lives together just made it. I mean, it made it feel kind of all better for me.
But there is still so many ways around it. They could easily show up again in the future. What happens if they go back in time and they just go to a year later? Although it was, what year were they sent back to?
Wait, that's a good question. Well, there's also the question about how much time has passed for them, because I think they were saying something like 10 years has passed for them. So if they were in their early to mid 20s, then by the time that they were at the end there, they were.
Well, wasn't she like 11 or 12 when you first see Amy? Don't they say that? And then they made her wait 8 years.
I think she's younger than that. I think she's like 7 or 8.
They make her wait 8 years, and then he goes, and then she says that was 2 years ago when he comes back again. So yeah,
right.
But Rory was like 2000 something.
Yeah. Well, this is true.
Rory was awesome.
And Rory is.
I think
always
Rory
awesome.
was better than Amy at the end.
If they ever bring either of them back, I would prefer them bring Rory back.
I actually liked his dynamic with the Doctor more than Amy's.
Well, it was more like more like some of the other companions that I've seen, where as Amy is just, I still don't know how to describe
abrasive.
That dynamic. It's like borderline. It's like borderline flirty.
Kinda, yeah.
And kind of abrasive. It's like if you took Donna and Martha and kind of put it together a little bit. Even though Martha wasn't flirty, but she had that kind of sexual tension going on with the 10th Doctor, whereas Donna didn't give a shit.
Not at all. I kind of like that about Donna. I think is underrated. Episodes are from the season, like the Silence in the Library, or is that what it was called?
Yeah, Donna Noble has left the library. Donna Noble has been saved. Also,
Doctor's daughter.
Hey, who turned out the lights? Yeah. Well, but of these newer episodes, what's your just out and out favorite?
What do you mean by newer episodes? From Amy and Rory, or Eccleston? The whole from 2005?
Let's do favorite Amy and Rory episode, and then we'll do 2005.
I really, really liked the Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. I really did.
Yeah, I can.
I also really liked the first episode this season, the Asylum of the Daleks. I think all of the episodes this season have been great.
I'm trying to think of some of them that I particularly liked from.
Actually, my favorite might be the first episode with Matt Smith.
Yeah, I was just thinking because after they started doing this, or after that, we actually took to eating fish sticks and pudding. And
I thought you were going to say you were dipping it in custard.
No, not together.
Have you tried it?
But we would have not yet. But
that eventually. Scene, I think, is what made that episode. The fish fingers and custard.
Oh, him going through everything, just trying to figure it out. You trying to
poison me? It was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would go with that first episode with Matt Smith being my favorite one of the Matt Smith and Amy and Rory. I mean, for me, the best one, like, of the newer, like, Eccleston and on.
Blink is disqualified.
I still have to
because
say Blink.
It's everyone's favorite.
It's everyone's favorite. Okay,
also, Girl in the Fireplace, or Woman in the Fireplace, is also disqualified.
I would.
And
I really
Doctor
like the
Dances
one.
was also disqualified.
Everybody Lives. Okay. One of the ones I really liked was oh shit. I'd probably go with the one with Martha when they go to the Globe Theater and they're in
Shakespeare.
England. Well, when they're in the Shakespearean England.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. I liked God, what was that? Gridlock. That one. That episode was pretty good.
That one was pretty
Also,
good.
I liked
did
the
like that
Impossible
one.
Planet, which was a two-parter. It's the one that was
that
clearly inspired by the video game Doom with the
was
devil.
That the one with the demon chained? Yes, that one was so fucking
That was
good.
great.
Oh god, that one's so good. It should have been mine.
That's probably my favorite of the entire series. Maybe even over Blink.
Yeah, that one's really damn good. I forgot about that one. I can't believe
The Doctor
I forgot about that
fights the
one.
devil.
That one was so creepy.
And the devil is like 500 feet tall and chained in the core of a planet. So good.
Yeah. Well, do we want to talk about any? So, well, okay. Well, before we even start moving on, how excited are you for the new companion? And how much longer do you think Matt Smith will go?
Matt Smith is. I like him as a Doctor, so I would be happy with him going until I'm sick of him. I don't know when that will be. But I heard a rumor that he was like, I'm done with Doctor, but I don't know if that was just a rumor. I don't know what that was.
Well, that may partially be that he's not working with Arthur Darvill and Karen Gillan, because I know that they really liked working together.
Could be, but maybe he'll like the new lady. I wonder how they're gonna handle the new companion, because she was in the first episode this season.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, we'll have to see, but I am kind of excited to see what they do, and really want to see. I want to see it, and I think they're doing the Christmas special, and then nothing for a little while.
To be honest, I'm glad that they're gone as the companions, because this season they didn't have the enthusiasm, I guess. That's how I put it. I know, and that explains it. But I think they just didn't have the dynamic of the previous seasons, because they weren't as enthusiastic about it, because it was old hat to them.
Well, and I think to a degree they needed a way to wrap it up, and that they were kind of forced into doing that. So, yeah, I could go with Matt Smith for maybe another, including this half season, maybe another year or two after this. I don't think that anyone will ever approach
Tennant.
What Tom Baker did. Well, what
Tom
Baker did with the amount of time.
Okay, because I'd say Tennant is the best. I could have watched Tennant forever.
Tom Baker is still.
I would have watched David Tennant forever, till he was 9,000 years old.
Something that I am kind of anxious to see if they do here in the second half of the season, since this is the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, I would really, really like to see them do something with the other Doctors.
That would be cool. I would really like to see Tennant back, even if it's just for an episode.
Tennant, Eccleston.
I didn't really like Eccleston.
I'd like to see him. I dug Eccleston. When he's not fighting plastic.
Oh, you like the farting aliens then?
Okay, or the farting alien. The plastic people and the farting aliens are disqualified.
You counted out half the episodes of the first season.
I know. So
and Dalek.
That one was
that was
really
probably
good,
the best of the season, other than Doctor Dances.
Okay, we're definitely making Raansu and Darfox die with.
So Raansu and
Darfox,
did you guys watch Revolution?
No, sir.
It's a post-apocalyptic show. Well, sort of post-apocalyptic, where all electricity goes away. That's what it's about.
No
clue. And also where the Chicago Cubs did not win the 2012 World Series. That was something that they I saw that in the original cut. When they walk by Wrigley Field, they have something up there that says Chicago Cubs 2012 World Series champions.
I see.
And then they digitally took it out.
Did you actually watch 2 episodes?
I have not watched any of the episodes.
It's the second episode I think was better. Some people think it was worse. Depends on how you define better. If you define better as really cheesy sword fights, then it was way better.
I saw like a commercial, and the guy was like, "This is the key to returning the United States electricity," and he had like a weird medallion.
If by weird medallion you mean USB thumb drive, then yes.
It was like a weird medallion.
It's a USB thing that plugs into the medallion, and then it's like in the middle part of it. Yeah.
Okay, so it's just like a program or something.
For some reason, when you say that, I'm like imagining the guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark holding up his hand to show that he burned it, and like on the headpiece.
Right, like the scar on his hand.
Yeah. This is not something that I've just not. I've not had a chance. I've not sat down and watched yet, and I don't know that I don't know. It's just there's something about it that just I don't know that I'm gonna find it.
It's from J.J. Abrams and Eric Kripke, and I'm a fan of their work.
Yeah, I liked J.J. Abrams' work, and I liked Alcatraz.
Well, this is mostly Eric Kripke. He's the showrunner and head writer and everything.
Well, that one was. Well, I forget who was the main person on. I don't think J.J. Abrams was the main guy on.
No, he hasn't been the main guy in anything since maybe Alias. Maybe.
Well, yeah,
because he didn't do Lost. He didn't do anything. He directed the pilot for Lost.
Yeah.
That was the end of his involvement. But to be fair, the pilot to Lost is one of the best pilots ever.
I've seen that, and that is pretty cool.
Finally, something Darfox is saying. Raansu, have you seen the pilot to Lost?
Nope.
So, was there anything that you watched, any of the new series, Totoro, that you wanted to bring up?
Well, I mean, I watched
Elementary, Last Resort.
What's it called? I watched those
Doctor.
Two. I did not watch. I heard that Mob Doctor was like the initial reviews that came out on that were less than.
Apparently, only 3 people watched it, so it's gonna be canceled. You don't need to watch it.
Oh, okay.
I know you were worried.
Well, now that that's over. But no, Last Resort. I feel like I paid enough attention to it to get a good feel for it. I don't know that it's anything that I'm particularly in love with.
I haven't seen it, but it's basically, I understand, it's about like the most powerful nuclear submarine in the world, and they're ordered to fire their missiles at a country, and then they refuse.
Mm-hmm. Well, they ask for confirmation.
You're cutting out
of the orders, like on a different channel.
Did you say confirmation from a different channel? Okay.
Yes. Like basically, there's one channel that orders can come through where it's like it's like they're only supposed to use that if the federal government has been crippled.
Okay.
So like in case they're the victims of a first.
So then they take their sub and then they go to an island and take over the island, right?
Yeah, and then they play was that Papa Roach?
Seriously? Okay.
No, I'm joking.
I was really worried.
But I was like, I hope that's the band that did that last.
I think
song.
You're right.
I don't know. I haven't listened to I haven't listened to the radio since like 1998.
I was in high school.
So was I. That's not important here. But they basically say that if you come anywhere near this island, we will launch our warheads and do this other stuff. And then, like even before that, they nuke Pakistan.
They do nuke someplace?
Yeah, they fire a nuclear warhead at Pakistan.
And they feel really bad about it.
Did they actually nuke Pakistan, or they just set it off as like a warning, and then they like repositioned it or whatever, or detonated it earlier, or disarmed it or something?
I don't. Oh God!
I bet that's what happened.
I watched enough of it.
Okay.
Something happened, but
you don't think this TV show would have an actual nuking of Pakistan?
I do not.
Why
on
not?
ABC, owned by Disney.
That's a political nightmare.
There's no way. But don't they like try attacking the island after it's set up, and then the sub has all kinds of defenses that just shoot everything out of the sky?
I don't think they had anything like that. Now that may be like the next episode.
I may have accidentally spoiled it.
But I'm Oh well, I saw something that they were like that may have been on the next week's on, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I feel like I can kind of take it or
Did
leave it at
you
this
watch
point.
Elementary?
I did watch Elementary. I really enjoyed Elementary. There were some things about it that I didn't particularly care for, but there are some things that I kind of felt like that they got spot on that I want to see
Zero
them
Cool
develop
is
further.
Sherlock, right?
Um,
Okay.
yes.
No, you don't need to explain it.
Eli
I'm pretty
Stone
sure
is
everybody knows
Sherlock
who Zero
in
Cool
this.
is.
Well, that's why I said Eli Stone. That's another TV, or that's something else he did.
So, sorry, is Lucy Liu also like a soldier doctor?
She is just a surgeon. That's one of my gripes is that she does not appear to have been in the military at all.
They might as well put an apron on it or
Apron.
something.
Yeah, and she also that's one thing that I really liked about what they did with the British version of Sherlock was that they when Watson first shows up, he has the limp and he walks with the cane, but then through a series of I don't want to say mind tricks, but through a series of events, Holmes
He fixes him.
shows him that his limp is it's psychosomatic. So, but they don't even like start to approach that with anything with this. But basically, the premise of the show starts out that Holmes was in London. He had some sort of breakdown and he was in rehab, and his father basically got him out of rehab once he was done, and as like a condition of his probation or something, that he has this companion, and I'm using air quotes when I say companion, kind of help him with his day-to-day life and make sure that he stays clean, and that's Lucy Liu's Watson character.
And she, of course, gets roped into all the crazy mysteries he's investigating.
Right, yeah, she definitely like right off the bat they have a murder, and so he's basically doing consulting. He's a consulting detective for NYPD, much in the same way that he was a consulting detective for Scotland Yard. But,
yeah. So, is this show like super eye rolly? Where you're like, why does this even exist? Why couldn't they just put over the
I've heard that it
BBC
actually got
one?
good reviews, but the BBC one is like on PBS, right?
PBS, yeah, it's on. It's one of the masterpiece mystery. And the other thing is that they only make 3 episodes of that like every year and a half, and while they are an hour and a half each, you know, that's going to essentially be 4 or 5 episodes of this. So,
but those episodes of the British
I mean,
one are going to be way better than anything that they air. But there's only 3 episodes a season.
This is right. So it is definitely a quality versus quantity type of argument. But I do kind of feel like this is a serviceable kind of replacement, and it doesn't have to be as good as the British Sherlock for it to be worth watching. It just has to be good, and it has to not completely screw up kind of the whole. It doesn't have to screw up the whole story of Sherlock for it to be good or bad. One of the other gripes that I did have about it, and that was this is a gripe that I even have with the British version, is that the music is kind of reminiscent of for both shows, kind of makes me think about the out-of-tune piano music that they have for the Robert Downey Jr.
Those movies
Sherlock Holmes movie. They are. I do like them quite a bit, and it's just I wish that if they were going to do something that they would kind of break clean and just completely like do their own thing without these little hooks to something that's kind of familiar but not really. But it's just it's just irksome. It's a minor complaint. It's not anything that's like a deal breaker for me. But no, I thought it was good. I'm going to continue to watch it. Give it.
I started watching it and I fell asleep like I'd say 1 minute into it.
That sounds
I
like
was
your own
sleepy.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, like at the very beginning when Watson walks up to the apartment, you see a woman walking out, and you can't really see into the apartment at all. And I was kind of hoping that that would have been him and I was turned to my wife and said this, that I was hoping that that was him walking out of the apartment, and she kind of looked at me puzzled, and I was like, well, because Holmes is supposed to be a master disguise, and he can just like slip on any sort of disguise and slip out of someplace, which is something that they don't really address too much in the British TV series.
Did you know, spoilers for the newest Sherlock Holmes game? Did you know that Sherlock Holmes dies in the Sherlock Holmes game?
How many hours
I don't know. I haven't played it.
happen?
I just remember hearing that on the Bombcast.
Yeah, I was trying to yell for your joke. Sorry, Totoro.
Okay, well, spoilers for Sherlock Holmes in general. There is a famous story that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle did. That it's the Reichenbach Falls, where Sherlock Holmes, quote unquote, dies. Spoilers.
Do you get to play as the dog in the book?
In the book? You
That's what
play
I'm
as the
asking.
dog in the book?
Because you get to play as the dog in the game. Awesome. I'm going to read this
Sure,
book.
why not?
You get to play as a dog.
I'm going to play as a dog in this book.
Before we move on to Moviebox, I just want to bring up Tony Hawk Pro Skater on Steam. I don't know if you guys have heard how bad the sport is. Have you? Awful.
How bad is it? I didn't know it was a.
They did, and there's no. I haven't bought it. This is what I've read. There's no settings in it whatsoever. You can't change resolution. You can't do anything. And on top of that, it's single player only. And isn't Tony Hawk kind of known for being multiplayer?
Maybe, but I only play Tony Hawk 2, and I always played it just by myself. But I'm sure the more hardcore fans probably played.
I used to play 3 online all the time, and I would get millions of point scores. I would go to the airport level and then just start grinding the walls and then go around the entire level.
Yes.
And I would get a billion D points.
I don't remember which one it was, but there was one on the PS2 that used GameSpy to connect online. I remember people used to use the Game Sharks and stuff. You'd see them doing whatever it was where you never lose points when you're rolling around the court. You have your skateboard lifted up.
Yeah.
Oh, the manual.
Yeah, you'd see them rolling around with perfect balance and doing everything they did was perfect balance, and they just the time would run out, but they were still going because the game wouldn't end until they crashed.
Yeah, that's right. Because they'd let you finish your combo. So if the combo never ended, the game would never end. It's a master troll right there.
So yeah, people would have the Game Shark code in with the perfect balance.
Yeah, that's messed up. It's like a PSO with the Game Shark.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking that's why Game Sharks don't exist.
Well, there's no real way. I guess you could do USB or whatever, but it'd be weird. But yeah,
well, it's hard now with Xbox Live and the system's reset now when you put the discs in.
You can hack your save, I guess, to give you stuff.
Well, and that's the other thing is that if they did something that was like a USB stick or USB key that plugged in, they could probably shut you down really quickly.
Well, there was this thing called an action replay. I don't know if that was just for the original Xbox or if it was 360 as well, but I think that let you do some cheats.
There's one for the 360, but it's just I think it's just for transferring saves to your PC.
Well, I have this program that I use to copy a save over, but the program also allows you to edit your save, so you can give yourself achievements and do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's possible to do it, but I think every once in a while they make an up that borks every system that have done that.
Yeah, or it just bans them from Xbox Live forever. It bans the console. There's a chip on the console that they can ban.
I think in the past they have actually bricked systems.
That'd be kind of crazy.
I may be wrong.
The only thing that I remember ever really doing with saves is remember playing Burnout Paradise on the PS3, and I remember pulling my save off and going online and using a save file analyzer so that it would tell me like what I needed, like what I have not
Right.
done yet. And so that's like the only thing I remember doing. So that was like completely kind of not
On
ambiguous,
the Dreamcast,
innocuous.
I got annoyed with people using Game Sharks, so I got a Game Shark, and then I gave myself a freeze mag, and then I would activate it, and then no one that was near me could move.
You became
I fought
you
fire with
hated.
fire. I was like Robin Hood.
Or
I was
freeze.
like ice to meet you.
Did you ever get Nold on the Fantasy Star on Dreamcast?
Yeah, no, but I think my brother did. Actually, I may have, but I had like 8 characters, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, basically the Nold thing was Dreamcast with the Codebreaker stuff. People would go online and like there was I forget how it works, but if you take like the teleporter and like when you quit the game and came back in, it would save you as an NPC, so you'd be like a level 5
Yeah,
NPC.
it would change your character, and then you couldn't get your character back. It was messed up.
And then there was bank hacks, and then there was like crash hacks. Like there was actually a hack that would actually like kill your Dreamcast. It would turn it off, or like give you a black screen. It was terrible.
I mean, there was one that I think that would change your character to a randomized character. I think that was one. It was messed up. Dreamcast, though, online was the Wild West of online consoles. I guess it was.
It was the
I
pioneer.
played Quake 3 against people on PC from the Dreamcast.
That's awesome. I wish
It
people
was
would just do
great.
that now.
Of course, controller versus mouse and keyboard and Quake 3 was not the ideal thing. You just get
No,
crushed.
not at all.
Well, I think you could connect
There
your mouse
were-
and keyboard to
yeah,
the,
there were-
or get some sort of
You could do
peripheral
that, yeah.
for the game for Dreamcast
You could.
and mess them up too.
Plus, the Dreamcast controller only had one thumbstick.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the Moviebox pick, which this week
It was-
Starfox's.
Mm-hmm.
So, Darfox, why don't you go ahead and intro it and kick us off?
Okay, so this is a slightly odd pick. It's still a Jackie Chan pick, so it's still like in my wheelhouse. But Jackie Chan is more like a supporting role in these movies. This is the third movie in a franchise called the Lucky Stars movies. It's called Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars, and it's more like a Ocean's 11 style ensemble cast where a lot of like famous people from like Hong Kong cinema are like part of the cast. And this one is a little bit uneven because like in the second movie it was probably the best one because at the end everybody got their due. You know, like in the Avengers movie, everybody gets to do like their own little action scene at the end, and everybody gets their own screen time. In this movie, a lot of people fell by the wayside, and Sammo Hung mostly, was the cool guy at the end, right? And that was apparently because they filmed it like in 1 month, the whole movie. And they didn't have good planning, and also apparently Jackie Chan hurt himself while filming Police Story, so he couldn't get revenge on the weird Australian guy. So Sammo Hung had to kill 2 people at the end, or beat up 2 people at the end.
I thought that was weird. Oh, Jackie Chan was barely in the movie. He was just kind of showed up and was never introduced.
Yeah, because this is like the third part, but so like the only things you would really need to know about the plot was in this movie the girl, I think her name is Barbara. She was talking to Sammo Hung, who's named like Fastbuck or something like that, and she was talking to him about how she apologized, how she manipulated him, because
Right.
in the second movie, the second movie actually had a plot.
No, it
This movie
doesn't.
doesn't really have a plot, but in the second movie, yeah, it doesn't at all. Like remember when Jackson first shows up fighting in the boat? Like that didn't really have anything to do with the rest of the plot, did it? Like those random henchmen, and they didn't belong to the other guys, did they?
No clue.
Well, I don't think they did. Right. So in the first movie, it starts with Jackie Chan and Ewan Bill. They're chasing after like a Hong Kong cop who like stole a bunch of counterfeit, or not counterfeit, like a bunch of diamonds that were like evidence, and he just ran away to Japan. So he chases them to Japan, and then Yuen Biao gets kidnapped by the bad guys. So Jackie Chan says, "Oh, I can't bring any more cops here because they already know who the cops are. So I'm gonna get my old friends from the orphanage. They're delinquents, so we're gonna fight like the bad guys with delinquents." And that's where like all these weird characters come from. They're like Jackie Chan grew up with them in an orphanage, but they had a falling out because Jackie Chan became a cop, so they didn't like him anymore. But they had to put in differences beside him to help him out, and that's basically who these characters are. They're like childhood friends and super horny
Yeah.
perverts.
And they just
Yeah,
groped
caught
all
that.
kinds of ladies.
Like, constantly.
that's a really silly juvenile thing about this movie, is that they go through like this really elaborate schemes just to like touch a woman's arm or something. It's not like to like
or
sleep with them or anything like that.
They set a chair on fire so that she could lay down in a bathtub.
Yeah, well, like the original plan was to make her take off her clothes, but they adopted the plan when she couldn't take it off, and they tried to make her get wet, but then she put the towel. So that scene is actually very similar to a scene in the second movie where they did the same thing, except they pretended to be robbers, and they tie her up with one of them, like so that they're hugging basically, and then they run away, and then another one will come in and say, "Hey, he untied him." And then they basically take turns being tied up with her. It made no sense.
The
but
humor
it was kind of
in this movie was not funny at all. At all.
Well, it was very slapstick. It was very...
There was a scene from Three Stooges.
There were parts of it.
When they started
which one?
acting like the characters from Three Stooges.
Oh yeah. Like the hit, the hits. And in the beginning when he didn't want to answer the door, he hit him on the head and he tried to block the eye thing.
Yeah, the eye gouge.
But it's just, all of the jokes are terrible.
Yeah, that's kind of the MO of this movie. Like, the first time I saw this movie, it was kind of like a weird, morbid fascination I had with it. That, like, these jokes were going for forever. And
There'd be really like 20-minute jokes, no payoff.
Well, a little bit of payoff. Like, what comes to mind?
Yeah,
the voodoo. The voodoo, and then she's like, honey, darling. Like, this is weird, like Chinese English. And then at the end when he take off his clothes, he's like, nigga your friend now, nigga your friend now. I'm like, what is
I would
bizarre.
say that yes.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying something else there.
Sounds like you're saying something completely different.
Well, I apologize. That's actually how they said it.
I would say the only funny joke in the movie was when they told the guy to say a joke, and he didn't know any jokes. So he said, that was actually
Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
See, I kind of like right after that when the other guy goes, oh, he went on a date, but he forgot his pants, and then the guy's and he tried to grope her.
Yeah.
That part.
Like, it wasn't even like trying to like, caress her arm or something. I mean, he was like going straight on like double hands for the boobs.
Yeah, and that's another thing about this movie franchise is that, so they always get foiled in their plots to touch these women's arms. At the end, the women always figures them out, and it's like, you guys are silly idiots who try and touch me, but you're the idiot who like fell for the stupid plot in the first place. Like, they were touching her like for like, I don't know, like the whole night they were touching her while she was laughing.
How did that chair not burn down the whole building?
I don't think it was a chair. I think it was some sort of wagon.
A wagon?
And or something. It might have been a chair, but it looked like weird chair, maybe because it was covered in Vaseline or whatever they put on it.
There was fire coming off of it in a narrow hallway.
Maybe they had a lot of foresight and they covered the wall with like flame retardant.
Do you think they went through all that?
Gel. They go through a lot.
Those characters were the only thing retardant about this movie.
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Well, some of them are.
I know. I really. Oh, damn it! I went for it there, and I was like,
you messed up on this one.
I know. I did not stick the landing.
Some of them really are supposed to be like dumb. Like I think his name is Ronhead, the one that they always hit.
Right, who's always like crying, and he's
what was
he's very much
Samo's
the curly
character's name?
Yeah,
that is a
I think
weird
Fast
name.
Buck.
Fast Buck. Yeah.
They have different names for like different translation and different territories. He's also been called Kid Stuff. I'm looking at the Wikipedia. He's also been called Eric. Chico Choi, which is probably the original name.
It's kind of random. He has all these weird names, and then Eric.
Yeah.
Who was the judo teacher? That's what I thought.
That was Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh.
Nice recognizing that because I didn't recognize her the first time I saw the movie. She looked different. I think
she was just super young.
She had.
This was before Super Cop, right?
Also, I thought that was kind of funny too when the guy tries to lift her up. She goes, like all these fake like noises.
And then she actually fought some.
But and Samuel like owned her. So to move away from the weird ass comedy, what did you guys think of the fight
I thought the fight scene in the warehouse was really
the one like
the Pepsi.
That was
that one is actually really good.
Although the product placement from Pepsi was all over the place.
It's kind of weird in the beginning when he's like, they have these elaborate meals, and what do they drink? They all drink Pepsi.
Then they spray
Yeah,
Pepsi all
Pepsi.
over each other. You
Yeah.
know, Raansu,
Yeah, well,
what do you
they're
think
counting on him.
about this movie that we're talking about? Or
I've never seen it, so I mean, it
It
sounds
is.
silly.
it's dumb.
Yay.
I mean, if
Then we're portraying it accurately.
it is a very dumb movie. It is. I don't know if it's the worst of the Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars movies, but the best is definitely the second one. I think that the second one is actually a legitimate, like, pretty cool action movie. I'd recommend it. This one is more like, even when I first recommended it, I tried to paint it as kind of a so bad it's good type humor, but it still has some good action scenes.
So-
You
Yeah,
disagree?
I think the movie was just bad, but the fight scenes are really good.
So the entire series is called Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars. So this one was released here as the first one. So is the second one like Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars, like to the Armor of God?
No, so it's a little bit confusing. It's similar to the Evil Dead series, where Evil Dead 2 is a remake of Evil Dead 1, and then the third one is a direct sequel to the second one. There was a movie called Winners and Sinners, and it's a very similar plot to a bunch of these like delinquents make a group and they live together. And then they made a movie called My Lucky Stars, which sort of remade the plot Winners and Sinners and made basically made a better movie, and Jackie Chan had a larger role in it. Because in Winners and Sinners, Jackie Chan has like a tiny role. It pretty much is just a cameo. But in My Lucky Stars, he's pretty much a main character. And then Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars, which is a sequel to My Lucky Stars, he diminishes a little bit again. I think it was because like I said, he got hurt, so he couldn't really
Didn't
come through at the end.
didn't
He
you
kinda
say
had a
that he
boring
didn't
fight
even
at
want
the
to do it? He didn't want to make the movie.
as far as I know, well, so there is some backstory with him and Sammo Hung. They went to like the same opera school. They sort of grew up together, and while they were in school, they were always like rivals. And Sammo Hung was kind of like the school bully because he was the senior student, and so he'd kind of bully the younger kids, such as Jackie Chan. And they do say, and Jackie Chan himself mentions that while they were making this movie, it's kind of like their sibling rivalry started to flare up, and they didn't make much more movies together after this movie. So I don't think he didn't want to make it, but this movie wasn't
But
like
that didn't happen with Wheels on Meals.
Wheels on Mule was before this movie,
But
I believe.
I mean,
They made a lot of movies
Yeah.
though.
I think the last movie they made together was Dragons Forever, which came after this one. So they made Wheels on Meals, they made the Three Lucky Stars, they made Project A, they made Dragons Forever. I think six is there might be a few more, but I don't recall.
and then this just triggered their old rivalry, and then they just being friends or something.
No. Like it started to flare up little by little because Jackie Chan was almost like an overnight success, and Sammo Hung kind of earned where he kind of earned his way into the industry. So there was some sort
he
of
was
friction
jealous.
there where
Okay.
Sammo Hung was kind of jealous. Yeah. So and Sammo Hung really is like he really did earn his way. He did a lot of awesome movies, directing and stunt directing. And then Jackie Chan kind of he did a Snake Fist or Snake and English Shadow, and then Drunken Master, and he became like
Samo
some big star.
had a bigger part in Enter the Dragon than Jackie Chan did.
But yeah, because Jackie Chan like barely gets his neck snapped, and in Enter the
Yeah, he
Dragon
actually
you
has
see him in the very beginning.
kind of lengthy fight scene with Bruce Lee. It was pretty short.
Yeah, it's kind of it's the opener, so like it kind of establishes Bruce Lee's like
he beats the crap out
ferociousness.
of Samo.
Yeah. Oh,
It's Bruce Lee.
Well, he beats the crap out of everyone, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he does. He's just a walking crap.
Beating crap field. He beat the crap out of Chuck Norris.
He deserved it. Oh, speaking of Chuck Norris, how do you like the Australian guy who speaks English? People somehow understand
Yeah, that
him.
was weird.
Yeah.
Like, the world is full of dead heroes.
As soon as
Don't
I
be
saw
a
him,
hero.
I figured he was gonna be some guy that was gonna have some awesome fight with Jackie Chan.
And he would have, but apparently Jackie Chan got injured. The other fight that happened in the movie was when someone actually I really like this fight. It's kind of funny when he fights the transvestites or the cross-dressers. That fight is pretty
is,
good.
yeah.
Like if you look at it, Sammo Hung is
I
super
wouldn't
nimble in that
expect
fight.
him to be so
Like
fast.
he's fighting them off really quickly. He's like the fastest fat man
He's like
alive.
Chris Farley fast.
Kung Fu Panda. He's like
Beverly Hills Ninja
Pablo
fast.
Sandoval.
Anyone? Beverly Hills Ninja? Chris Farley? Chris Rock?
Then that movie almost pretty much. This is kind of weird and tragic, but then that movie almost almost pretty much single-handedly kill
I
Chris
don't think
Farley.
so. Yeah.
No, I think it was the drugs.
Well, yeah, like, oh yes, obviously the drugs, but like he was feeling kind of insecure about his weight for a long time, and I recall it. Like I saw this show about Chris Farley, and after he made Beverly Hills Ninjas, he was very sad. Like, man, this movie is just me being a fat guy jumping around and kicking. They just were laughing at me being fat. And then, like right after that, he died.
Didn't he make like 2 movies after that? He was.
Did
He
he?
was.
So okay,
Yeah.
Almost Heroes and Dirty Work.
okay. So maybe this show misrepresented that. But
Well, it could have been
ever since I saw that show,
that he
I
filmed the other 2 first, and they just came out after.
Possibly,
Dirty Work is
yeah.
underrated. I really like Dirty Work.
Actually, I've only seen Beverly Hills Ninja,
Black Sheep?
Time Boy, and Black Sheep.
You
Those
need
are
to
the
watch
three
the
I've
rest of
seen.
his movies.
Well, and he was the original. He was originally going to be the voice of Shrek.
Shrek. When was Shrek made?
Like early 2000s, wasn't it?
Well, but they had to completely scrap everything after he.
Oh, I see. It was like somewhat delayed.
Yeah, after he died,
Yeah.
they had to. I think they reworked some things.
I liked Chris Farley.
Unlike Chris Farley, Sammo Hung is thankfully
He was
still
on.
around.
Wasn't he? Didn't he have like a CBS show for a while? Martial Law. Yeah,
Sammo Hung.
I'm pretty
I'm not
sure
aware,
he
honestly.
did.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, it was called Martial Law. He didn't speak.
No.
Didn't it have Don Johnson?
I don't remember,
So
but
he didn't
I
speak
don't
English?
know. He didn't speak much English, so like he barely talked in the show. It lasted like 3 or 4 seasons.
How
I
did
really
you
wanna
watch it,
watch
Raansu?
It was. I was a kid when it was out. I just remember it vaguely.
So
It was just he was like a Hong Kong cop that came to LA and became a detective or something like that. It was kind of like a martial artsy type action show.
kind of like
I
It
Walker
vaguely
was-
Rangers.
remember it.
A Shanghai cop who is a master of martial arts fights crime in in the Los Angeles Police Department. It had Sammo, Kelly Hu, and Arsenio Hall.
That's yeah. I totally confused Arsenio Hall
That's
and
weird.
Don Johnson. I don't know why.
That actually sounds like a really cool
And
cast.
they look just like each other.
You're thinking of that show with Cheech.
You're right.
Did you confuse
I'm gonna
Sammo
go
and
back to
Cheech?
my corner now. I remember there being some. I remember him being on a show, and I remember it being kind of a off, like it was kind of like like culture
Have
clash
you guys seen a modern picture
type
of
of a
Sammo?
situation.
He looks
Yeah.
old.
If you've seen Ip Man 2,
Because he is old.
yeah, for like if you watch the beginning of Ip Man 2, he seems like the main antagonist, but then a dirty foreigner becomes the main antagonist.
Is he still doing like fight scenes and stuff?
He did a pretty good fight scene in Ip Man 2. It was kind of like aided by wires and special effects, I think, but you could tell he still got it, for someone his age and his weight.
Just to bring things
Full circle.
like full circle here. Martial law was created by Carlton Cuse.
So what you're saying is Sammo was the smoke monster.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
It all makes sense now.
I think that revelation might wrap this movie up perfectly, because that's really more plot than this movie had.
Yeah, Jackie Chan just showed up with no explanation, and then he fought some dudes, and then you didn't see him again for another 30 minutes, and then there was some hijinks,
With no explanation.
and then they
Oh,
were
yeah, I really
rehearsing
wanna mention,
Shakespeare for some reason.
Yeah, and the horse is that was kind of funny, I thought. But I really like Sammo Hung using the tennis racket versus the size. That was pretty great.
Yeah, that was. Well, and then when they were like showing off, that reminded me of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Michelangelo and the nunchucking foot soldier. Kind of just
Right.
it made me think of that.
Yeah, so I think the two funny things in the movie is the opener when they're showing like historical facts, and like this movie actually had nothing to do with these facts, and then the very end where like the whole cast comes out of the tiny elevator. For some reason, that made me laugh out
There was a
loud
lot of
the
people
first time
coming out of that elevator.
I saw it. Yeah. You're wondering.
It's an elevator, not a
You're wondering why
contract.
that elevator looks so
Because
cheap
it was cheap and fake.
while they're fighting in front of it. Yeah, because it wasn't an elevator. It was just like a doorway. Wow, yamagao chow.
Okay, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up here. Next week's movie box pick is
Outland.
oh shit! I just had to hear Outland,
James Bond.
starring Sean Connery. So
Is that
It is
Biggie's choice?
brought to you by Biggie.
Okay. Biggie. You can see it online now.
So I'm not sure if this is on instant streaming, but go find it. And also we have the horror box coming out. By the time you hear this, it'll be coming out tomorrow. So look on the forums for that, and you'll be able to find it and subscribe on iTunes and do all that good stuff. So we would like to ask everyone to rate and review us on iTunes. Just whatever you, but no, whatever you guys want to rate it.
You could just say how's Annie
is fine by me. Just say how's Annie. That's fine with me as well. But yeah, just rate, review, send us email at podcast@alltalkpodcast.com. Send us a tweet at alltalkpodcast. Join us on the Mumble server where we talk and hang out and play Borderlands 2. Watch people play live streams of fighting games that half of us have no clue what in the world's going on, but hey, we enjoy it anyway. And support everyone who
you could play Dead or Alive 5 with me and Raansu online.
Exactly, and I've seen both of you guys look like you're whipping the hell out of people. So it's if you want to challenge, if you're a bad enough dude, come on the Mumble server and challenge one of these guys to DOA. It's fine. See, rate and review us on iTunes. Listen to other Geekbox podcasts like the Geekbox, the Comics Conspiracy, Good Job Brain, and the Comedy Button. And have I missed anything? Retro Game Club. We are playing through Suikoden right now. Go ahead and that'll be going on for another week or so. We're about ready to put up a poll for a new game. If there's a kind of a 15 elite game that's at least 15 years old that you think you would like to play through with us, go on to the forums and suggest it there pretty soon. We're going to try and do about one game a month. Maybe it may extend out to every month and a half, depending on how long the games that we're getting suggested are. But we'll discuss that there. I think there's a good discussion. We definitely like to have more people in there talking about it, but that's going on as well. So
go watch Dread because the movie needs to make money so they can make a sequel.
Starfox.
Have a nice night. Treat your parents right.
Treat your parents right.
And Raansu, did you have anything?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, well, that will wrap everything up, and yeah, I'm not gonna see. I'm going to go with some other phrase from Star Wars. May the Force be with you.
Hey, Dakazu's here.
It's a space station.
I know.